I was 13 and I was living in Delhi for a while. It was Sunday morning, and our Sunday mornings are really busy. We were sort of hanging about in the home, and suddenly there was screaming, a loud screaming outside coming from the street. And we all rushed to our balconies. And what we saw there was a man who was pulling a woman by her hair across all the rows of houses where we stayed. She was screaming loud, she was asking for help, and yet no one helped her. There were many people in the balconies, by the way. Everybody was looking at what was happening, but not one person helped her. And I looked back and looked at my family and I said, shouldn't we be doing something about this? And I got an answer which stayed in my head for a very long time. And the answer was, it is none of our business. So one went along life and I stayed silent at that time, as 13-year-olds at that time would stay silent, you know. And I stayed silent and I thought maybe this is what it is really. And there were many things that came up in life later on where there was something unfair that was happening, or there was something that I knew was not quite right, or someone was breaking the rules, and yet I stayed silent. You know that line in my head? It's none of my business. I was 21 then, and I thought, you know, this is not on. I'm going to make this my business. And I became what many people call a social worker. And I went about, worked in slums, in villages, really getting people to uphold their rights, stand up for what was wrong. And I thought, this is great. I can do this. Yet in my personal life, with myself, with my friends, in my city, in spaces around me, oftentimes I still did not stand up when I knew someone was breaking the rules or was doing something which was wrong. That line in my head, it's none of my business. One day in Mumbai, I was walking down the street and I saw an auto rickshaw parked right in the middle of the road. I knew he was breaking the rules and he was causing a lot of trouble to people around him. Yeah? But I looked at him, looked away, and I just kept walking. Suddenly, I turned around. I walked back to this person, looked at him, and I said, please, can you park your vehicle in the right place? And guess what he told me? It's none of your business. And I flinched, you know, and I sort of lost my balance a bit. But then something happened. I pulled myself up to my full height, looked at him straight in his eye, and I said, you know what? This is my business. And further, this is my only business. I'm going to stand here and ensure you're going to take this vehicle and park it in the right place. And if I have to stand here the whole day to do this, I will do it. It is my business. He thought I was mad. He just looked at me as I was crazy. But slowly, he took that auto rickshaw and parked it in the right place. And he was shocked, of course, but I was even more shocked. I stood there for a good few minutes thinking, what is this? Where did this come from? Where did I get the power to speak to a complete stranger and tell him, you know, it's not on to break the rules? I said it to him and I thought, where did I get this? And the answer came to me sometime later. In a document I had long forgotten, but a document that belongs to you and to me, to all of us here. And that document is the Constitution of India, and specifically the preamble to the Constitution of India. And this understanding of what is my business really as a citizen got deepened when we at We the People, which is a citizens network that I work with, organized a number of workshops called citizen cafes. Yeah? This is a place where people come in, all of us, young, old, in villages, in schools, in open spaces, all kinds of citizens, all kinds of people of this country gather to look at this source document, the preamble to the Constitution of India, and to see what meaning is it making for us. What is it telling us in terms of direction? What is it telling us in terms of what is your job of citizenship and what is my job as a citizen? Yeah? So let's look a little bit at this document. We've all seen it at some time or the other. Let's try and see what it actually says to us. This is a vision and values document. It is the place where the spirit of the Constitution is housed. And it has in front of us a number of values by which we are meant to be living. Yeah? What is it saying? And I'm going to share some of the learnings that have come out of these citizen cafes. Number of cafes, 70, 80 odd, held over various parts of this country, towns, villages, all kinds of diversity has contributed to this learning. What is it telling us? Let's look at one of the things that it's telling us about our role. The lines are, we the people of India and all that give to ourselves this Constitution. What does this mean? It means that I am giving to myself these values of equality, justice, liberty, and fraternity. I give to myself. I am the primary person. I am the one for whom these rights are meant. And therefore, I am the person who will have to stand up for them. The one person who has to stand up for my rights is me. I am the single most important person in this democracy. And the second thing it says is that I have the power and responsibility of practicing these values of equality, justice, liberty in my life, in my home, in my sphere of influence, in Delhi University, in colleges, in workspaces, in my areas of control. I have to practice these values for myself. Which means that, we are not going to have equality as a way of life in the country unless and until we practice equality in our homes. We may not do that. Sometimes if we reflect on it, are we really practicing equality with respect to our siblings, to the workers who work with us in our homes? Maybe, maybe not. But it is a point for us to reflect on. Are we practicing these values in our own lives? At least in the areas which are completely and directly under our control. That's the first ask of your job as a citizen. What's the second one? We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Here the deal gets quite interesting. The deal now is, not only do I have to stand up for myself, I have to stand up for you. That's the deal. This completely flies in the face of all those lines that I heard. That haunting line, it's none of my business. It flies in the face of that. This means that I am meant to stand up for you. When I see you being treated unfairly, I have to stand up for you. And it also means, by the way, you are to stand up for me. That's the deal. And now let's look at it a little more further. What is this telling us about our job with respect to the state? What is it telling us about our role with respect to the state? So the preamble mandates us as owners. The preamble also mandates that there will be a mechanism called the state, your elected representatives, bureaucracies, whose job it is to run the country on our behalf. On our behalf. We, the owners, they do the country, the running of the country on our behalf. They are, in effect, our employees. And what are we meant to do with respect to these employees? We are meant to ensure that they do a damn good job. Which means we are to monitor them, we have to ask them questions, we have to demand answers, we have to feed back to them with dignity and respect, but feed back to them, complain if they're not doing a great job or whatever they are doing. Yeah? In other words, we have to really be effective as employers. We have to be very effective as owners. And today, if we look around ourselves, just around here now, how many of us have really performed that role of effective owners? We vote if we feel like it. And we, of course, pay taxes. And then we are the most hands-off employers of all time. Go out there, here's your money, here's your taxes, we've appointed you, and don't talk to me again. Maybe in another 5 years, tell me what you've done. That's our engagement. That's our participation. And we are surprised when they don't do a good job. We are actually surprised when they're corrupt. We are surprised that they now don't even think of us as employers or as owners. My submission to you, ladies and gentlemen, here is that if they are doing a bad job, which they probably are, its main reason is that we, you and me, are sleeping on ours. But it's time to wake up. Okay, it's time to recognize that this is indeed a job, which means that we need to actually train ourselves for this. Yeah? How many of us slept through our civics class in 9th standard? That's not going to work. We'll have to retrain ourselves. We'll have to understand that just as we train to be managers and economists and actors and artists, we have to train to be citizens. We have to train to be employers. And that means that we have to learn the language that your employees understand and we must understand. And that is the language of the Constitution. The language of laws, orders, rules. This is the same language that we must be using because our mandates as citizens and their mandates as people who work for us all come from this source document. And therefore, we must understand and we must use this source document and the language as far as possible. And it's not difficult. It just means we need adequate training. And this is a man who trained on this, Arvind Waghela. At We the People, we do a back to basics, essential training on citizenship, which means understanding the Constitution and understanding tools like the right to information, like complaints, on how to work with the system. So Arvind Waghela was a participant in one of our training programs, citizenship programs in Mumbai. And he
was very angry because the drain outside his house was not repaired for a year. He'd been going to his employees, the Municipal Corporation of Mumbai, talking to them, pleading with them, fighting with them, but nobody actually came and repaired his drain. And as part of the training that he got with We the People, he understood that first of all, he had to write this down. There had to be a written complaint. And so he went down and wrote that. But he was a really smart student. He's a really smart citizen. Because the last line of that written complaint was, and here's where he used the language of the Constitution. The last line was, if you do not address my issue, be aware that you are violating my right to life. Article 21 of the Constitution of India. It was magic. His drain was repaired within the month. And if Arvind can do it, so can we. In conclusion, 3 points. Citizenship is a 24/7 job. Recognize it as a job. It's a job you do with other things. Be great at other things, but this job requires that attention that you must give to it. This job has a terms of reference. Just like every other job, you have a terms of reference. Terms of reference comes from the preamble. You've got to stand up for your rights, rights of others, practice these values in your life, and ensure that your employees, the state, is doing a damn good job as well. And the third is, it's hard work. Whoever told you this is easy peasy, go, do, vote, pay taxes, end of story, is wrong. This is damn hard work. It will require you to give time, invest your mind. It will require you to really doggedly follow up on complaints, make sure things happen. But at the other end of this hard work is a nation that will be successful. It will be a democracy that will be successful. So let's roll up our sleeves and get going. We've got a job to do. We've got a nation to run. Thank you.